Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And in this video we are going to texture our knife. So in the last one we unwrapped our model, and today we are going to import that model in Substance Painter and start texturing. So I'm going to create a new document for our knife and import my mesh, and let's keep the resolution 2048 and normal map format to OpenGL, and leave SL settings to default. Click OK. Now let's go to texture set settings and bake mesh maps. Increase the resolution, and I'm going to click on this use low poly mesh as high poly mesh and increase the anti-aliasing to 2x2 and bake my maps again. So the baking is done. Let's click OK, and let's add some material. But before we do that, I'm going to go here in the shader setting and I'm going to change the material to PBR metal rough. Now let's drop a material for this blade. So I'm going to delete this empty layer and go to my materials, and let's see what we can use here. Let's try this iron rough. This looks fine. And I'm going to increase the roughness a little. And also change the color, make it a little darker. Something like this. Let's turn down the roughness and keep it 0.3. Now let's take a new fill layer, and I'm going to turn off color, metal, normal and height. Add a black mask to it and add a fill. And let's go to this grayscale here, and I'm going to select this anisotropic noise. So add this and go back. Increase the roughness so that you can see your noise here. I'm going to turn the roughness down to 0.2 and go back to anisotropic noise and change the projection to triplanar and increase the scale like this. So 10 or something like 8 looks fine. Let's go back and try to add some changes to roughness. So 0.2 works fine for this, and we're going to keep it like this. And I'm going to create a duplicate of this iron material. So right click and duplicate. Put this on the top of these two layers, and let's increase the roughness to 0.35 and change the color to something lighter like this. Right click, add a black mask and add a generator. In this generator, let's add this metal edge wear like this, and increase the contrast and wear level just a little bit. Let's keep the wear level to 0.8 and contrast to 0.45. You can go back to this iron rough material and you can change the scale or projection to triplanar, and you can achieve some different results. So let's try to change the scale to something like this. See if it works, and if it doesn't, you can always go back. So this looks fine, and I'm going to add the decal here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my folder, and where we have this vector or this PNG file. So I'm going to import both PNG and PSD files to see which one works. So import here, and I'm going to import it as alpha in the current session and import. So we have these two files. So to use these stencils, let's take a new fill layer and turn off color, metal and normal, and add a black mask. And in this black mask, let's add a paint, and let's use this wolf PSD as your stencil, like this. So align it, and let's start painting. So if you don't see anything, what you can do is you can go back and just decrease the height just a little, and then come back and paint. Like this. Now you can turn off stencil, and here is your emblem. Now you can add some decals here. So you can go back and you can increase or decrease the roughness if you want, like this. Let's add 0.3 or 0.35, and keep the height to minus 0.05. This looks much better. So our blade is done. Now what we are going to do is we are going to add some scratches. So let's add a new fill layer and turn off color, metal and normal. Decrease the height and add a black mask. Add a fill in this black mask and search for scratches. Select this scratch like this and decrease the balance and quantity. Go back and change the height value to something like this. Let's change it to 0.01, and this looks fine. Go back to this scratch map, and you can increase the contrast to make these scratches more sharp, like this. So our blade is done. Now let's select everything and put this in a group and rename it as blade. Now right click here, add a black mask, go to this Polygon Fill, select object and select your blade. That's going to apply this texture only on this part. Now let's create a material for our handle, and for this we're going to use a smart material. So go to your smart materials and let's see this wood, kaju or something like this. So let's try this and put it here and see how it looks. And let's open this material, go to your base layer and change the color. Let's make it more darker. Like this. And we are going to change the roughness value, so increase it just a little bit, 0.15, and it looks fine. Let's change it to 0.17. Now let's add a new fill layer and add a black mask, then another fill, and in here let's go here and search for wood, and let's select this wood one, change it to tri-planar and increase the scale to 1.2. Pull this down to create a variation like this, and now go back to this layer, change the color to something like this, increase the roughness to 0.3, and you can add a little bit of height like this, 0.01, and now let's add some scratches. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a new fill layer and add a black mask, then add another fill and search for scratches like this. Go back and you can change the color of these scratches, and increase the roughness, then decrease height like this, change the height to minus 0.05, go back to these scratch map and decrease the width. So our handle is almost done. Now let's select all these materials and put them in a group and rename it as handle wood, add a black mask and go to Polygon Fill, and here what we are going to do is we are going to go here in the Polygon Fill and we are going to select these polygons like this, and we're going to create a new material for these parts. And for these parts, what we are going to do is we are going to go in the smart material and we're going to use this bronze armor and drop it on the top of these other two groups. And we are going to open this material and go to base metal, and let's change the color a little. Do something like this, and let's change the view to 3D and 2D. So now what we are going to do is we are going to import our ornament design. So we are going to import this Pt.3 and drop it here in the library and define it as alpha, then import. Now we have this ornamental pattern. And now what we are going to do is we're going to take a new fill layer, turn the color and metal and normal off, increase the height, and we're going to add a black mask, then add a new fill. And in this fill, we're going to drop this ornament and see how it looks. And let's go here, and in the UV wrap, let's select none so that it doesn't repeat itself. So let's scale it down, place it here, rotate it, and scale it like this, place it here, like this. So this looks fine, and now we're going to repeat it. So I'm going to duplicate this and place this one here and just rotate it like this. So this looks fine, and let's change the view, and we are good to go. Now we just need to add a blur for this. So let's right click here, add a filter, and in this filter let's search for blur and add a blur like this, so that we can remove those hard edges. So you can see without the blur it looks like this, and with the blur it looks much better like this. Now let's select all this and put it in a group and rename it as handle, and add a black mask, and we're going to select this polygon fill, and let's select these parts. So I'm going to select just everything from here, then press X and change it to UV and deselect it so that it removes everything from here. And what you can do is you can select the object and then deselect it. Again, press X to fill these parts. Like this. And for these ones, just select them. And if you see that this texture is not fitting properly, so what you can do is you can just go back here and select this fill, change your view to 3D and 2D, and you can just scale it down like this and place it here like this. So now it looks much better, and you can repeat the same thing with this one. Just bring it down here and scale it down. Like this. And now it looks better. So our texturing is done. We just have to add one final touch, and that is going to be some dirt. So let's open your materials and let's select this dirt fine, drop it on the top of all these layers. Change the projection to triplanar and increase the scale. Change the color to something like this. And add a black mask, then add a generator. And let's select this dirt. It's going to add a dirt here. You can decrease the level, use triplanar, increase the contrast. Oh, let's keep the contrast to 0.5 and also decrease the opacity to 50. And now let's see how it looks. So this is how our knife looks. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.